guys, and welcome to the Sunderland vs Cardiff City match preview. So Sunderland will be looking to make it for the first time this season, back-to-back wins, and hopefully they can do it this weekend at the Stadium of Light. Of course, the form at the Stadium of Light hasn't been quite as good as it could have been, or it hasn't been as good as our away form, so it'd be great to get another win under our belts. Of course, it'd be 2 wins on the bounce, but also at the Stadium of Light as well. I think that would be absolutely ideal. But we do have Cardiff City in our way. Now, Cardiff, they've won 1 in their last 5. They're currently 18th in the league. Last time out they did get beat. They were at home and they welcomed Watford in the loss by 2-1. Before that, I believe that they did pick up a win actually against Rotherham. Not an easy team to play against at all, but before that it was 3 defeats in a row, and I think a couple of disciplinary issues as well. I think it was a couple of games on the bounce where they did pick up red cards. So we don't know what Cardiff's going to turn up. Is it going to be the resilient Cardiff that did get the win against Rotherham, or is it going to be the team that they're picking up red cards and they're giving away goals and getting quite leaky at the back as well? We'll have to wait and see, but hopefully it is a leaky Cardiff City, so that we can get ourselves another win on top of course the win a couple of nights ago, should I say, away from home. It was a fantastic win the other night against Huddersfield. Absolutely fantastic win. I did do a live stream for that game, and now my opinions, on that game, I think that was arguably one of our worst performances this season. But to say that we did play as bad as we did, or as poorly as I believe we did, and still get away with a win is absolutely fantastic. I think Huddersfield had more than enough chances to absolutely bury us. A couple of great saves from Pato, one in particular one-on-one with him, and some scrambles, some really good chances as well. What they arguably should have put away and just simply didn't. And we did have a bit of the rub of the green a little bit. But we finished our chances, and I think first half was probably one of the worst performances I've seen so far this season in terms of our passing, our ball retention. It was awful. And to be fair, Huddersfield were great, in the sense of the second we got over into their line, that they pushed and they held their line on the halfway line, leading from the front. So their front man would sat on the halfway line. They would let us play with it as much as we want in our half, but then the second we got over into their half, they've got 6 players straight across the middle, bang, straight on us. And we couldn't find our way through. And we needed the outlet, we needed the big man. Sims comes on and it gives us someone to aim for. Jacques come off, who contributed very little. But in saying that, I was very harsh on Jacques, but people know my feelings on him. Just not a fan. But you could say that arguably for a lot of the other players. I think the only player who really performed in that first half and for the entirety of the game against Huddersfield was Luke O'Nien, who I think was phenomenal because our wingers weren't tracking back for large parts. That's why we're getting doubled up on. Sirkin, if anyone was on his side, the overlap would come and there's no one tracking him, and he'd have acres and a stupid amount of space. And it was the same with O'Nien, but O'Nien was getting at him so quickly, blocking almost every single cross, winning everything, and he was absolutely outstanding. But yeah, in that second half when Sims did eventually come on, where someone to ping the ball to, get out of our own half, and because when you have so many, we have so many players in your face, you have to play it along the ground, and the players didn't seem to have that confidence. Do you know what I mean? Now, so many times you want Roberts to run at him or Diallo to run at him in the first half, but they weren't. They would come deep for it and just keep it straight back to the back line, and we're making zero progress. Although we did make a couple of half decent chances, Diallo with one of them and Sirkin with the other. It was sort of diagonal balls across that sort of on the way through to the left side of the box, and we drag it wide. But we should have probably, or arguably should have tested the keeper a bit more in that sense. But it wasn't the sort of slick passing moves that we know that we are capable of, unfortunately. Second half comes on, like I say, Sims, it can stick to him, his hold-up play is excellent, and then we can push up the pitch a lot more. So for me, in this game, I would like to see Sims start. Will that happen? That remains to be seen. I do somewhat doubt it, only because Mowbray did say before the game against Huddersfield, he said that he doesn't expect to see a 90 minutes from Sims until after the World Cup, and he did say he'd probably just give him 20-30 minute spurts, but he'd give him a full half. So you never know, he might actually be a lot fitter than we are led to believe, and he might actually be able to get either a full game or at least a good 45, maybe 60 minutes in this game against Cardiff. I'd like to see him start, so it'd give us an outlet immediately to get our own half. If Cardiff are to play like everyone else is playing at the minute, when they're pushing right on us and we have the high press, granted we have a lot of midfielders and no strikers half the time for the last few weeks, but if we're not feeling up to it, or they're not feeling confident enough to start running at them, we just go backwards and make zero progress. So I think Sims should start on Saturday. And speaking of starting 11s, this is my preferred starting 11, and of course, you guys let me know in the comments down below who you would like to see start against Cardiff this weekend. So as you can see, I have gone for Patterson in goal. It's the same back line that took on Huddersfield, although at times it was very dodgy indeed, but we did manage to get through it. Sirkin, Bart, Wright and Luke O'Nien, despite it being a little bit of a dodgy performance, or a couple of dodgy performances within that back line, I do think, you know, they got a clean sheet, they'll have their heads held high, they're going at home, we'll keep it as it is. In the middle, it was absolutely changed by Mowbray, and I was quite sceptical at first because I felt like we had Evans in the middle with Embleton against Huddersfield, and they were just getting walked through, the ball retention, particularly from Evans. I know Embleton wasn't great, but Evans, I cannot remember, or barely remember, a forward pass that met a Sunderland player. There was a good handful of times. Granted, I know that the weather conditions were poor against Huddersfield, but he seemed to have no pressure on him at all in the middle of the park, and he would just pass it 4 yards straight to a Huddersfield player, and it happened time and time again. So eventually they were both brought off, Embleton and Evans, and replaced with Abdullah Barr and Dan Neil, and it changed the game because they couldn't just walk down the middle and straight through as they were doing time and time again with the other two. And these two were excellent. Barr, for me, he's looking outstanding. He deserves a start, at least an opportunity to start from the beginning. Maybe give him 45, 50 minutes, see how he is. If he's still holding up, he's still doing well, keep him on the pitch. Dan Neil as well, they had that little bit of a bite and tenacity in the middle, and then going forward they were really positive. Like I say, Barr, he was picking up in sticky situations, and you know, there were so many times in that first half, like I alluded to, players were coming deep for the ball, but then usually if you come deep for it, you need to turn, spin, look up and start begin an attack and be positive. But our front players just kept coming back, coming deep for it, into our own half, picking it up and giving it straight back to the back line without even turning around. So it's pointless. It's a pointless part of it. There's no progression to our attack with that. But Barr, what he kept doing, he kept coming deep for it, picking it up and immediately spin. Even if he's got players around him, which can be a bit dangerous, he'd just spin them and then get forward and try and start an attack. And everything he was doing was positive. So for me, Bart and Dan Neil absolutely deserve to start. Now going forward, this was very difficult for me because I think Jack Clark is absolutely integral to us going forward. So he is going to be starting for me. If it was up to me, Roberts, I think first off, I think he was poor, he was predictable. But in the second, he did improve, of course. The only reason I keep Diallo on is because he did score, and I don't like to remove goal scorers. But Clark, I just think he's that good and he's that important to us. I would love to see him on the pitch. He's so direct. Whereas you have Diallo and you have Roberts, who they do kind of the same thing. They try and cut him from right to left quite a lot. Whereas Clark, he is so direct with his running. It isn't just always left to right. He goes to the byline, he takes a man, and even if he is predictable, they can't stop him because his acceleration is just absolutely ridiculous. Pritchard as well in there. He got himself a goal, so I'm not dropping him. And as like I say, I'd like to see Ellis Sims start. So this is the starting 11 I would go for. And like I said earlier, what would you guys go for? Let me know in the comments down below. But now for my score predictions. I've actually predicted the last two score lines correctly. I predicted the 1-0 against Luton, and I predicted the 2-0 against Huddersfield as well. I actually got one of the goal scorers right as well. I actually predicted Embleton and Pritchard score. Pritchard scored, but then Embleton come off. But yeah, I still got the 2-0. So can we make a hat-trick of correct results? Now, I am going to go with a Sunderland win. I think it is going to be our first back-to-back win, or set of back-to-back wins, should I say, this season. But I'm not going to go for a big scoreline. I'm going to go for a 1-0, and I think Ellis Sims is going to go back amongst the goals after his injury. So that'll be very, very nice to see. I think that'll happen. I don't think it'll be as easy as you might think, given, you know, even though Cardiff, they are a little bit lower than us. They haven't had a great run of results recently, like I say, 1 win in 5. But at times you could argue that they've been a little bit unfortunate. So I think it won't be as easy as we might think, but it's a very, very winnable game. I'm going to go for a Sunderland win, 1-0, Ellis Sims. Of course, in the comments as well, let me know what you guys think. But that'll be my preview for this game, guys. If you have enjoyed, please smash the like button for me. It'd be massively, massively appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, take care and stay jammy.